So I start off by marching in place. This actually takes a lot of focus, and I'm focusing on keeping my toes up, knees up, and hips in anterior tilt, while my stability leg has its knee locked out completely. So this one's fun. This is a rotational balance. I like doing this because it's a challenge to actually stay up like that for this long. I go slow on purpose, and the foot that is inside of the kettlebell remains in dorsiflexion. So that's actually pretty hard as well. And then I do some baby lateral leg swings. And I do this because it's discus specific. I'm a discus thrower, so that's what all my workouts are usually geared to. The feet literally have over 100 muscles, and I can count the times that I've ever in my athletic career worked on my feet, which is quite terrible. So I'm working the muscles in my foot. There are so many muscles in the foot, and we neglect to train all of them. At least I do. So your power and your force comes from the ground up. So I put emphasis on the range of motion that I can derive from my feet. So I keep my ankles and toes plantar flex, and this is really stretching out just the front of my ankle all the way up to my tibialis anterior. And I keep my core engaged and really stabilize the leg that is straight and flat. I am flat footed, so it looks flat footed. I'm flat footed. And I hold this for 60 seconds and then transition into leg elevation. Now I'm going to switch into just a mobility exercise so that I can embed this motion into my central nervous system. This is injury prevention, so I have to do everything precisely because my body remembers. My body remembers every single thing. That's the beauty of the human body, though. So I do a single leg RDL with my ankle and plantar flexion and my arms in pillory position above my head. This movement is great for a discus thrower and any rotational athlete. But yeah, this is a RDL with added thoracic rotation. And it's about balance, keeping the core tight, keeping the knees facing forward. It looks easier than it actually is. So then again, I march in place, keeping my toes up, knees up, and the hips in anterior tilt. Then transition into internal and external hip rotation. And I do both legs. I only filmed one leg, but of course, I'm trying to be balanced here, so I did both legs. And this is going to improve my hip range of motion. Okay, so I basically curl my toes in, so pinky into the big toe, and I do a a stretch. So a high ankle sprain would probably look something like this. But I figured if I stretch it, then I am preventing an injury by putting myself in that same range of motion. So when I get there, maybe all of a sudden in a ballistic movement, it won't be foreign to my body. My body will know how to adapt. My body will know how to balance itself in that position. And that's usually why athletes get hurt in the first place, is because their range of motion is bad. And if it's pushed to the extreme, it doesn't know how to actually deal with it. So I definitely stretch everything in all ranges of motion. And then I just march in place yet again with my newly stretched feet and ankles. When walking or marching, the arms move, so of course I implement my arms in a forward motion. My main focus here is actually the ground strike, so I'm trying to lift the leg up and replace it, lift the leg up and replace it, lift the leg up and replace it, and I'm actually doing a pretty good job. And then I go straight into a weighted leg elevation. So the first one I did wasn't weighted, and then this one's weighted, so it's even harder, and I'm more fatigued now, so this is more of a challenge. And I'm keeping my toes up, knees up, and hips in anterior tilt. And my core is engaged, my arms are extended. This one is fun. I really don't know how to explain it. I made it up right there and then. I stretch and lengthen my obliques and IT bands simultaneously. So I'm pushing the ground down with my feet really, really hard. This is where my focus is. I'm pushing my feet all the way down into the ground, making sure that I can feel my center of mass between my toes and my heels, and trying to keep my lower body erect and only hinge at my hip. It is a challenge. It is a crazy challenge, but it actually feels really, really good as you do it. And it is an intense core exercise. So I'm pushing my feet down into the ground, but also pushing the broomstick up into the air or up into the ceiling. I want to feel like I have forces going in opposite directions. So pushing down on the floor and then up into the ceiling. And then I just go into a forward bend. Not an RDL. This is actually a bend. Like I'm just literally folding myself over and resetting myself to start over and do the same thing again. And I don't do too many of these. I just do a few because it's an intense stretch. Then I transition right into shoulder range of motion and mobility, but while still balanced. So these feet, my feet are still pushing down into the floor, and now I'm pushing the broomstick down to the floor as well. And my left arm is basically doing a lat pull down. And I'm basically just pivoting the broomstick around. So I guess I would call this a bow and arrow stretch. I googled to see what a bow and arrow stretch looked like, and there's actually several other videos and pictures that look similar to this. They use different implements, but the same muscles get worked. So from the bow and arrow plus pivot stretch, I go into a discus specific thoracic mobility. You can't see my right arm, but it's twisting back. So I'm basically trying to keep my legs straight. Again, my legs are straight and facing forward. You can tell by the direction of my hamstring. But I'm twisting in the opposite direction as I would if I was throwing the discus. So this is really going to be good for my thoracic mobility. And that's all for today's injury prevention / mobility session. And a couple hours later, I go to the gym and meet up with Coach Leon Gordon, the TKE guy, and do some explosive training. Toes up, knees up, elbows back. And I kid you not, he makes sure I do this with every single movement. So even in the walk back, toes up, knees up, and elbows back. Not allowed to put your heels on the floor whatsoever. It's pretty fun. It's a challenge. Straight into some plyometric tuck jumps. So the challenge in this is continuously jumping at the same rate. I tell myself I'm on a trampoline. Anytime I have to jump continuously, I'm on a trampoline. Did not feel like a trampoline, but that is what I told myself mentally.
Come on, keep jumping. Keep up. Jump up. That must be the most tiring thing. Keep driving. Keep driving. All right.
And straight into single leg jumps. So, like this morning with the marches that I was doing, I was trying to elevate that leg with my toe up, knee up, and my hips and anterior tilt and simply replace the leg. If you can see, my left leg did a better job of its replacement than my right leg is doing, and that just shows what I actually have to work on in this off season, and I'm looking forward to it. And transition straight into box jumps, going from lateral to medial, from the right side and the left side of the box straight on top of the box. And these jumps are supposed to be quick and explosive. The arms are supposed to help propel my body upwards as I swing them. And again, the heels never touch the floor, they never touch the box either. My absolute favorite part of my explosive training day is saved for last and takes place on the volleyball court. As you can imagine, I am swinging today. I am working on having a fast, explosive arm and having some nice, explosive legs and completing my landing. So after every jump, I make sure I have a safe landing. I feel like it's up to the athlete to ensure that that happens. I've been given so many talents straight from God, and He deserves all the glory for everything that I've ever done in the sport. He deserves the glory for my explosive capability. That right there is the money shot. Y'all, thank God. That is the money shot. You see that? Boom. What? I don't even know how I did that. That's literally all God. But yeah, that basically sums up my injury prevention and explosive training for today. Catch y'all in the next one.